Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is SidAlpha and I'm coming to you tonight with another episode of Is It Worth It? This time the game is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I've played through so far about 30 or 40 hours in this game. This is basically to be considered a first impression, not a true review, as an actual review would necessitate playing this game through to completion, and from what I've seen, that would be exceedingly difficult to do in a timely fashion, as the sheer amount of quests and side missions and all that would necessitate a massive amount of time devoted to complete playthrough in order to render a full verdict for a review. So for the purposes of this video, we are going to be considering this, as with most other videos I do, a first impressions video, which I think after about 20 to 30 hours, we have a pretty good idea of how the game is going to go. Now, that being said, even though I have gone through a fair amount of this game, like I said, between 20 and 30 hours, I will only be showing the initial areas, tutorial, things like that, because I really do not want to spoil the gameplay in this game. We'll start at the basics. Overall, I'm not going to give you a play-by-play of the options menu and things like that. Suffice to say, the settings in the options menu are fairly extensive and very customizable. You do have fully rebindable keys and quick support mode with keyboard, mouse, and controller, meaning that the game will automatically detect which is connected. If you have a game controller connected, it will automatically set itself to use those settings. If you have no game controller connected, it will automatically configure itself to keyboard and mouse, which is a really nice feature to have. And you do have fully rebindable controls on the keyboard and mouse and on the controller as well. Graphic settings. Bear in mind that this is a big game. It's a definitely what you would consider a AAA title, which means it's flashy, it's got excellent graphics, and as such, it is a resource hog. I am running a single 970 Ti, and I do have my settings set to Ultra. However, the recommended settings for a single 970 Ti are only high. So in order to take full advantage of the excellent graphics on this game, you will need a 980 Ti or better, or multiple video cards running in tandem. This is overall a very beautiful looking game. It is also, the area that you can explore is large. It is very large. You can ride on your horse, which is much faster than walking on foot, and this is one of those games where you can actually tell the difference in speed between walking and riding on a horse, which is nice. There have been some other games like Dragon Age Inquisition where riding a mount didn't really feel like it made much difference at all. Riding a mount in this, it feels organic, smooth. The way the animal moves, the way the person moves while riding on the horse, all beautifully done, and you can definitely notice the difference. Now, the game, like I said, the game map is massive. It's also a great deal of things to do in this map, and I'm going to let you know right now, there is a certain amount of hand-holding. There is, especially if you play on easier difficulty settings, which I actually recommend you do not do. I set it to the easiest difficulty setting because it had been a long time since I played a Witcher game, and I wanted to make sure I was back in practice before cranking up on the difficulty. However, the base difficulty setting feels way too low. Enemies are far too easy to defeat. Even the more difficult ones are not much of a challenge at all. I recommend that you do take what your standard difficulty would be and ramp it up by 1 notch. Unfortunately, that does leave all of you hardcore gamers out there that like playing a game immediately on the hardest difficulty setting imaginable. This game might be a little easy for you. However, that being said, it is a wonderfully done game. It really is. I'm not going to I'm not going to dance around it or make any qualms whatsoever. This is one of those games where I can safely say you can believe the hype. It's been fantastically well done. The voice acting, with the exception of Geralt, is very well done. The voice actor for Geralt, I've always felt, has been a little bit dry, a little bit weak on his delivery, but somehow in these games, CD Projekt Red just make it work. And I really couldn't imagine a different voice for Geralt than the person who's doing it now. Unfortunately, while I'm recording this, I realize I don't actually know the voice actor's name, so I will look that up later and post it in the credits below. But for the exception of him, the rest of the voice actors, for the most part, do an exceptionally good job. The artistic styling and the overall graphics are very well done. This is an open world game, which is a little bit different than previous Witcher games. Previous games have been more slightly on rails. Slight amount of openness to allow a little bit of diversity, but this one is wide open. It really is. And some areas, while you go off and try and discover new areas, that is actually where the hand-holding stops. And if you happen to come across a creature that is, you need to be level 25 or something like that to be able to defeat this creature, it will kill you if you're lower level, and there's not really a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. I actually ran into a creature when I was level 11 that managed to one-shot me. So that was pretty interesting, and I look forward to going back and kicking its ass when I get to a higher level. Overall, though, so far, the storyline has been very compelling. They do bring back a lot of old favorites in this game. Triss was actually always one of my favorites. I'm glad to see her back in this game. But there are quite a few people showing up from both the first Witcher and the second Witcher games in here. And it's nice getting the band back together, as it were. One other thing I also feel like definitely need to be mentioned is the loot system in this game. There is a great deal of customization and crafting that is allowed in this game, from weapons to armor to potions, grenades. All sorts of different things can be crafted, and the sheer amount of loot in this game is very, very well done. If you're a loot whore, you're gonna love it. You are, as you're never gonna know when you're gonna come across a artifact weapon or something like that, or something of truly immense, powerful armor, sword, or some special potions which you're not going to be able to craft on your own, things like that. This game does have quite a bit of that, and it's very good to see. As that being the case, excuse me, as that being the case, the amount of customization available from the crafting system really lends an additional nice touch to this game. Being able to craft things the way you want, to be able to spec your character out the way you desire to boost specific stats or entire groups of stats is a really well done feature set, and was actually a little bit more fleshed out than I was expecting. Now, we'll go into overall game stability and things like that just a little bit. So far, I think I cursed myself there, as I played a full day of Witcher 3 with no issues whatsoever, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, wow, this game is really stable. And for a AAA title at launch to have no issues whatsoever is exceptionally rare these days. And it's really nice to see that CD Projekt Red took their time to do the job right. And then immediately following that, my game locked up, seized, and crashed on me. It actually didn't just lock up the game, it actually locked up my entire computer. I ended up having to hard power it off and boot it back up in order to get access back into anything. And then that persisted to occur about once or twice every 3 hours or so. And I even had one instance, which you should be seeing on the screen right now, where it was a odd random bug where the terrain rendering didn't happen correctly, the pathing didn't sync, and I started running through the air on my horse. And I thought that was quite hilarious. I thought I'd show it with you on here. This was an unrepeatable bug. I was not able to. I tried to go back multiple times, try and find the exact path that I took before, and it never occurred since. And I think it may have been caused by some sort of random memory leak, but it's quite hilarious. And you can see when I try and get off my horse what happens. It's pretty funny. The laws of nature and laws of physics go right back into play. And so, while at first I thought it was a perfect, flawless launch, unfortunately it does have a few bugs, a few issues, but taking that into account, it has far fewer bugs than most other large titles that have come out in the past year. Hell, even the past 2 years. So, guys over there, CD Projekt Red, I tip my hat to you. Yeah, it's got some bugs. It's not 100% perfect. It's not flawless. But at the same time, this is a way smoother game on launch than most other titles have been. And I'm really glad you guys took the effort here. I really am. It really shows how dedicated they are to this project, how dedicated they are to the Witcher games in general, and what a great job overall they really do. So, that being said, overall, this game is a fantastic game. It really is, and I look forward to playing it through to completion. It is one of the few AAA titles out there today that has been so smooth for people on launch. Bear in mind, what I've been reviewing obviously is the PC version of the game, and this is not necessarily indicative of the PS4 and Xbox One launches. Now, I do not own an Xbox One or PlayStation, so I have not been able to check stability or gameplay on those consoles. However, I'm hoping that it is as stable as it is for the PC. But if you do own a PC, rest assured that it is, for a new release for a AAA title, exceptionally stable. It is a great game, fun to play. I look forward to many more hours. I've heard tell that complete playthrough of this game will take over 200 hours of playtime to complete. Granted, speedruns would be much, much, much less than that. However, you are required to complete side missions in order to level up enough to be able to continue on with the story, with the campaign. You're not going to be able to just do the campaign and skip out on everything else. You will shortly find yourself in a scenario where you are vastly outclassed by the monsters you're facing if you do that. So, this has been The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on Steam for $60 or your regional equivalent. I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.